Thank you for rocking with your boy. Like always, definitely a privilege and an honor to do as such. Y'all know what we getting into. It's Gems of War. We're continuing the series. What I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of shift gears a little bit. We're going to piggyback off of a topic that I was getting into a couple of days ago, but I'm gonna definitely jump into it now. But I'm gonna go ahead and shift into it. So let's go ahead and talk about like additional conversation in regards to YouTube, and if y'all don't mind. So if you're watching on the Twitch side of things, definitely appreciate y'all watching. I'm gonna definitely, I know you're gonna hear a lot of this. Some of this is gonna be replayed, and some of this is gonna be a tack on to what we talked about a couple of days ago. But I want to go into a little bit of, a little bit more detail in regards to like YouTube being like, why is it right and wrong, and really the reason why people do this. But let's go ahead and talk about it. So in the previous conversation, what we were talking about was things that about YouTube. So in regards to YouTube, there was a conversation held by myself and one of the people who's a fellow YouTuber, Twitch streamer, but also a gamer. His name is Solus. He's going to be streaming sometime soon once we get that Cyberpunk out. He made a comment on my page that YouTube is good and bad for gaming. And then in previous content, you could definitely check that. I think it was a video or so ago on my YouTube page, or you could catch it on the Twitch as well. It should be up still. Where I had my response to why I could tell you that YouTube is good and is bad for gaming. I gave both sides of the equation. But let me tack on to that a little bit, because what Solus said in regards to the conversation was a counterpoint that a lot of people who are gaming, they go on just to look for the edge in gaming, and then they try to apply it without really trying to go through the grind to try to learn anything in regards to gaming. Now, I get that sentiment. Don't get it wrong. I understand the sentiment that Solus was conveying. Like, a lot of people, especially gamers, this is like a big gaming thing, but I can see this in a lot of different avenues, that when people go onto like YouTube now, when they're like looking for content, all they're looking for is the shortcut. They're not going through the grind of trying to figure out the game for themselves. What they're looking for is, here is the edge of how you do this. Here is the edge of, well, if you want a quick way to beat a level, here's me showing you how to beat the level. Just duplicate what I do and you will get past it. But a lot of times what happens with gamers is that before they go and try to figure it out themselves, they automatically go to the YouTube page and figure out the edge first, without really trying to figure out if they could go through it on their own and figure out how to beat a level, or how to combine different characters if it's a game like Gems of War, how to create your own character path of, like if you're doing a role-playing game where you got to create your own character. What it does, it stymies, or it basically blocks the creativity portion of people. And basically what you have is like clones of everybody kind of doing the same thing. And this is where the term meta comes into play. Meta only came into play recently, is because when you have a lot of different voices basically saying the same thing, it became the meta. Like, if I combine the team, for example, if I did like ferocity team, like 3 ferocities with the Rage Reaver against a Tauros class, for example, in Gems of War, that would be considered meta, meaning that that would be one of the stock meta teams that you would build for a ferocity build for Gems of War if you didn't have the mythic to connect to it. The only change to that meta that people would add into it is you take one ferocity out, you add Ketris the Bull, and now that's your high-end meta of it. But a lot of people, what they would do is they would just look for YouTubers and content creators like myself and others to come up with this for them versus them doing the actual work. So I understand where Solus was coming from in that regard, because there's a lot of gamers who aren't willing to do the work on their own prior to them looking at the YouTube page. Now, don't get it wrong. I appreciate, giving the knowledge. I don't have a personal problem giving knowledge or giving my insight into a game. And I don't think any YouTuber or content creator, is upset about giving the knowledge out. But I do feel the sentiment of, them trying to figure it out from a gamer's perspective in particular. I understand that. That's super important. Trying to figure things out on your own is a very key component, as opposed to just, well, let me just look on YouTube and go from there. Now in certain regards, now let's say it's not gaming, in certain regards, you may have to look at this, because there's certain things that I look onto YouTube, like, how to fix a certain component in my car when I didn't know how to do it. So I actually had to look, as opposed to trying to figure it out on my own and messing up and doing further damage to my car. One of the things I had to do was actually look at a YouTube page, see somebody execute how to fix that component in the car, and then go ahead and do it. And provided that I had the skills and the know-how to, and the tools and whatnot to actually execute said plan, it worked out well. For me, it worked out pretty good. It wasn't a complicated fix. It was something, well, it wasn't a super hard complicated fix, but it was something that was very technical that you could easily mess up, and if you did it wrong, it wouldn't have worked out. I did it on my own, basically looked at a YouTube video while I'm taking apart my car, putting it back in my car. It's not my current car, it was actually my older car, my PT Cruiser, that I actually did this on. And it actually worked out pretty fine. Now, the PT had other problems with it, but to actually be able to go in and watch a YouTube page and actually execute the fix, I was able to actually do that. That was something that I learned on YouTube per se. Now, did that save me money from actually having to, go to a mechanic and actually do the work on the, have them do the work and pay an X amount more money? True. Did I try to figure it out on my own? To a degree, but it was very hard to do when you don't have any car knowledge. So when you're coming from a person who doesn't have knowledge of fixing a car, doing something like that makes sense, where you have to go in and actually do the work, actually go ahead and try to figure it out. You need a guidebook in order to do it. Yes, I probably could have bought a book and try to figure out via book, but sometimes as we are learners now, we learn visually. A lot of people are visual learners, so you actually have to see it done from somebody else's perspective in order to make sure that you're doing it right and then execute that way. That's the thing about learning a YouTube. That is the beauty of it. But I understand both arguments. So people, when they go onto YouTube in particular, YouTube is basically going to be something for a threefold issue. When you're on YouTube, it's really for three things. You're either going to go on there for entertainment value, you're going to go on there to learn something, or you're going to go on there to basically, explain your point and comment. That's really what you're going on to YouTube for, and really is more of the first two more so than the third. I mean, there's certain people who just want to go on there and they get their kicks off of just trolling. That's certain people. They want to get their agenda off. They want to get their agenda off. They want to troll. They want to go ahead and prove their point. That's what they do in regards to YouTube and other mediums. I know there's people like that, but mainly YouTube at this point, it became just a entertainment thing versus like, well, I'm just going to go on and just be entertained by people, to I want to learn something. A lot of people go on there, and a lot of people want to go on and just learn from YouTube and stuff, and they just try to go on and make sure that, you know, they got the right type of knowledge to do certain things. Like, I know, you know, certain people that go on to YouTube to learn, you know, how to do their hair a different way if they're a female, or how to do makeup, or, you know, and, you know, other things, how to learn how to DJ, for example. You can learn all of these things through YouTubing and Twitch streaming. Now, certain people, they may have the no knowledge of anything going into that topic, but because that, oh, I have an interest in learning how to DJ, for example, you know, and they may be like, well, I don't know what equipment to buy, I don't know how to get started, I don't know anything of that. YouTube has been that medium where you can actually go in and learn about that knowledge of how to, you know, get the right equipment, how to learn the basics, how to learn the intermediates and the advanced, as opposed to you going to a school, you know, paying X amount of money to go to a school in order to do it. You could actually just go through and look at some YouTube videos and get started. And that's how a lot of people has learned, literally through YouTube. I can attest to that, because my son, that's part of the way, like, he learned how to DJ. I started him off as far as like DJing mechanics and stuff. I gave him the basics, but he learned a lot of it, you know, through literally watching YouTube videos. So he learned some of the scratching mechanics and stuff, and I just kind of touched it up to make sure that he, you know, learned about it the right way. But that was the way that he went about his learning process, was literally, you know, watching a YouTube video, watching a YouTube page, and that's the way that he learned. You know, my daughter, Miss Trend, and, you know, the missus as well, they learned a lot about how to do makeup, how to, you know, create lipsticks, things of that magnitude. Those are the things that you learn through YouTube. So that's kind of been the medium of where YouTube kind of took a big turn. So it went from being just a platform of, well, let me just be entertained by somebody, to let me go ahead and try to learn something from somebody. And don't get it wrong, you know, one of the things as humans that we are is, you know, and in its base form, that we are an evolving creature, meaning that, you know, we are always striving to try to learn and try to grow. It's just the learning is a lot better now, simply because we have more of a visual aid versus books. I mean, some of the people, like, if you're in my age bracket, you will understand that it wasn't the same in the 80s and 90s and stuff, and maybe the early part of 2000s. You know, it was mainly from the 2000s and on is when things changed. Like, if you're old school, you would know what Britanica means. Now, Britanica, they used to do encyclopedias. Now, encyclopedias back in the day was just a book form of how to learn, know, understand, see certain things. That's basically what it was. But you saw it in a book form. And, you know, you could buy a set of Britanica encyclopedias and they will be outdated. By the time you get a set of encyclopedias, which was an A through Z book, which you needed a big old bookshelf in order to have these said encyclopedias, you know, you needed an A through Z book. Those encyclopedias were super expensive. They were thick books, and I wish I had one. I don't have them anymore, because the books were like yay thick. I mean, them things were like big thick books. Thick books. I mean, you can look it up on YouTube now and look up encyclopedias. Big old thick books that you would have to go through and read just to figure out the basics, and 9 times out of 10 that information was outdated. The beauty of having like YouTube and things like that now, and Google, you know, Google make their money on, you know, one simple premise. We're going to bring the encyclopedia in a easy form where you could just look it up. You could drop in a lot more information. It's constantly upgrading by the hour, where we could upgrade information and get it out to you. And then you could get the knowledge for yourself, because gaining knowledge is one of the things that we've always been about as a human race. I don't care where you came from, I don't care what you are or what you're about. You are going to want to learn about something. YouTube is just accelerates that, because it takes that, looking for the basics, as far as like YouTube taking the Google approach, taking the Google approach from just searching up the information to actually accelerating the information that you're learning to, I can actually see it step by step by step. And that's the beauty of like YouTubing now versus like Google, you could definitely get your information like, definition, terms, math, all that stuff. Now what that does, it connects you to YouTube pages in essence, where you could just go in and say, I want to learn this step by step. Let me continue that. YouTubing in a nutshell is exactly that. It's basically the process of learning. It's the process of learning from a step-by-step basis. And I understand, a lot of people are not old enough to understand that it was different for us. We didn't have the luxury of YouTubing and being able to learn things from a visual aid. Our visual aid, the best thing that we had was some outdated video from some outdated guy or girl who actually put up some content that was too old, that didn't really apply to what we did. So for us older generation of people, we had to learn how to figure these things out. When we did gaming back in the day, now this goes back to what Solus was saying. When we did gaming back in the day, we didn't have the luxury or the option to go with a YouTube video to show us visually step by step of what was going on. What we had was, at best, a guidebook. Now, these little thick guidebooks, they used to sell them back in the day. I probably still have my Final Fantasy X guidebook, because I think that's the only one that I kept, because it was a collector's edition. I don't have it in front of me. I'm not going to show it right now, but it's a thick little collector's edition guidebook. Very colorful, a lot of artwork and stuff. And I bought that literally not to utilize it to figure out every single step. I really bought it just because I like the artwork in it. It just so happened to be the guidebook where you actually have to look at the charts and the graphs, and it gave, one of the things that it gave you was the breakdown of the numbers of how, each stat is accelerated by each additional ability, and how you could progress your characters along to get the proper stats and stuff. So, those are the things that, we had to do, and that was in the 2000s. Now, even before that, when you had games like, let's say, like, people play like Mario and stuff right now, or let me throw Mario, let's throw that in rice for now, right now. Let's say you were playing a game like the original Legend of Zelda, a role-playing game back in the day. Most people thought that it was extremely hard to beat at its time, and the reason why is because you did not have a guidebook, you did not have a step-by-step person really showing you all the steps. The best that you had when it came to like the Mario game back at that point in time, I think you did have a guidebook, but it wasn't really helpful. I think the main thing that most people had was like this map that you figured out, where the certain dungeons were and how to maneuver, and that was basically all that you had. I remember back in the day, Nintendo had a competition, I believe it was like 88 or so, where if you were one of the first peoples to beat the original Legend of Zelda, they gave you, I think it was like $100,000 or some sort of like crazy amount of money. But at that time, $100,000 is basically as good as like $1 million. Don't get it messed up. And they put that out there for the first person to actually record. So you have to actually own the camcorder to record or take a snapshot of you beating the game, sending it in, and being the first one to actually complete said game. You didn't have the luxury of YouTube or anything like that. You just had to figure it out on your own. I think that's where Solus was going towards, where he's saying YouTubing is bad for gaming, because he's to the premise of people aren't willing to be creative to figure out what they want to do, how to figure out how to beat certain games or how to do certain things on their own first before consulting people who has done it a little bit better. Now, I get that, but see, me being an old school gamer, I understand that sentiment fully. Now, newer school generation of people, they don't have to worry about that, because they know that if they can't figure out something, 9 times out of 10, the ones who just want to just look and see and just, well, I'm just going to run this because somebody else runs it and it works, that's what you're going to have, and that's what becomes the meta. But then, you know, what kind of happens down the line is that these gaming companies that people don't understand, there's still people who are going to kind of dive off on their own and try to figure out certain things on their own. There is people who want to go in to try to learn how to, quote unquote, break the game. You know, there is people who actually go out there and try to do that. They are trying to grow and trying to learn and trying to evolve and trying to figure it out without having nobody help them. And then they figure out, here's the glitch. You want to know how they find the glitch? They didn't have to look on a YouTube page to find the glitch. The people who find the glitches initially are the ones who just kind of grind through it and look, and they see certain things like, oh, that's where that happened, and that's a glitch, and that's how it messed up, and then they try to play it again and figure out it's an actual glitch, and then they know that, oh, well, this glitch will help me do this. That was Madden back in the day. Madden players, you know, you figure out certain glitches by playing. But there were, like, back in the like 2005 2006 series of Madden, there was a running back glitch where you juke a certain way or you have your line set up a certain way, and it was a glitch where your running back was just about unstoppable. Or they had this thing called nano blitzes, where if you set up your linebackers a certain way, you will automatically get a free run at the quarterback every single time, and it was extremely hard to block, because back at that time it was no fix for it. But the way somebody learned how to do it was they just kind of did certain creative things while playing the game, and then they figured out, oh, well, I could do this. And that's what separated a lot of different players from others, especially in competition play, because they were doing stuff like nano blitzes. Fast forward that to now, we could bring it right into this game here, because in like a game like Gems of War, you would think that, you know, Gems of War is fairly basic, not really that complicated. But here's the one thing I learned about Gems of War and the Gems of War community in particular, probably more so than a lot of other gaming communities with similar styles. You know, the community is really, really big. For one, there's a lot of people who do exactly what I do. They YouTube, they Twitch stream, they play, they go in and grind, they go in and do this every single week. That's one, including my man Solus, amongst other, who actually do this a lot. Shout out to the other people who do this. Shout out to Loot Wizard, Cindy Cool, all them people who actually do this along with me. And they've been doing it for a little bit longer period of time. Shout out to them. It's no shade, no knock against them. I got the utmost love and respect for all of them, and, you know, wish them nothing but the best. They go in, and there's a big community of people who do this. We all kind of convey kind of the same information. You know, once one person figures it out, we all kind of rattle off similar information across the board, because that's how this goes. You know, one person figures it out, another person kind of rolls with it. We kind of just put it on camera so everybody can see, and then we go from there. That we create that meta for the game. We're the ones who create that. Now, with that being said, you know, there is some creativity within that. You know, a lot of times we are diving in, we are, you know, showing things from a different perspective. Like, you know, there's other YouTubers and Twitch streamers who actually do Gems of War, who actually do actually have a much more wider assortment of characters, and so they will show different combination of teams. I'm going to show you something different because I don't have all the characters, so I'm not going to show you like super high-end teams because I don't have high-end teams. I'm gonna show you a bunch of mid-tier teams, and I may show you something different that you wouldn't normally see otherwise. And some stuff may be just the standard norm stock team. Other stuff may be something like out of the box creative. That's where the gaming comes into play. But we as content creators try to figure this out. Content creators and YouTubers in particular, and Twitch streamers as well, we do this for the same two reasons as I mentioned above. We do this for twofold. One, you got two sets of people. One set of people who is there to entertain you. They're going to be funny. They're going to be energetic. They're going to do all the goofy stuff. They could be like Dr. Disrespect, have like the whole hair and the glasses and all that stuff, and be like the giggle, jokes. Other people are going to do this for teaching purpose. They're going to go in there, they're going to teach, they're going to go in there and show like, this is how you play the game, this is what I would do. They're going to go more to teaching mode. That's kind of in a direction that I am. But they're not just teaching you just from a perspective of, how to play the game. They may teach you some other stuff in the process, some life stuff. You'll see a lot of that going on in the middle of their stream, or their content creation. You're going to see that. Those are the things that you're going to be looking at and viewing and seeing 9 times out of 10. Thirdly, the other part you're going to see is the third part, which is kind of important, and we're going to touch on this probably a little bit later, is they want to show, people who YouTube and Twitch stream, they want to show that they are involved in the community too. Meaning that, one thing about being like I said, I go back to the back in the day. Back in the day, it was hard to really tell who was about what. I mean, without knowing or asking, you had to sit there and really pry out of people, oh, well, I'm a gamer, this is what I play. Now it's more of a common conversation, but before, these things were not really common conversations, because back in the day, if you were a gamer, you were kind of getting laughed at because most people didn't do it at the time. Now, gaming is such a commonplace that you get laughed at for almost not being a gamer. This is how things have flipped back in the day. Back in the day, it was like, oh, well, you're nerdy and this stuff if you play gaming. That's why, if you ever want to know why my handle on my Instagram and on my Twitch is actually not true indeed, excuse me, it's actually Nerd Boy Fresh, it's because back in the day, yes, I was the nerd boy. I mean, I didn't dress like a nerd, I didn't do like that, I didn't function like any like that, but I did a lot of things that would be considered nerdy in the process of the other things that weren't nerdy. But I was more smart and nerdy than not, to be honest with you. Yes, I was an athlete. Yes, I was like I said, 2-time CIF champion track and field. Played football, played basketball, ran track and field, did band, did, student union. I did all of that stuff. Coming out of high school, I was one of the most known people at the school. Now, that's different than being one of the most popular people at the school. Popularity was a little bit different, but not too many people who came from my high school didn't know who I am. And a lot of them, shout out to all my people who represent my high school. Artesia High School, of course. A lot of people who represent my high school, we still are cool with each other, even to this day. Now, one of my good friends, nicknamed the Ace of Hearts and the Queen of Hearts, of course. Shout out to them. Shout out to my boy MR2, of course, part of the 4 Aces, of course. They are my high school running mates, and we've been cool since high school. And they could say, and they could be able to attest to any of this, to say that, in high school, we were those people. We were very known. A lot of people knew who I was, knew what I was about, knew how I got down. But a lot of the things that they didn't know was, they knew about me as a track person. Some of them knew me for music. Some of them knew me for, the student union and stuff. Some of it knew me for just being a cool person or whatnot, and that's how I knew them. And some of them knew me for, oh yeah, he's pretty smart, but a lot of them didn't know that, I was really about the game. That was the one aspect that I didn't really keep quiet. It just never really came up in conversation like that. Because even though I was very active doing other things, being in gaming was something a little bit different. A lot of people were in my same bracket, and now they could showcase that I am part of the community too. That's the third reason why a lot of people do the YouTubing and the Twitch streaming and all this stuff now, is to show, literally to show, I'm part of the community. Not just part of the community from a, I'm just a person who just like doing this. It's like, look, I'm a gamer too. I like this particular game too. I'm involved in this game. Let me show you, how much involvement I am in this game. And that changes, but basically show you that, hey, gamers are out there. That's the one thing about Twitch that is the beautiful thing, is that, gamers are out there. And here's the beautiful thing about Twitch when they kind of change. You see a lot of different people jumping on Twitch now, jumping on YouTube now. People got their jump off, meaning that, they got their start literally off of YouTube, literally off of Twitch. And the other reason why people are doing it now is because, yes, it is their lifestyle now. They turn their passion for gaming, for music, for whatever they tend to do, to, this is how I want to make money, by showing others how to do it. Going back to the teaching portion, but a lot of people do it now because there is a significant amount of money to be made. Now you're to the point where you got YouTubers and Twitch streamers who are very viable stars, who are getting commercials, who are getting ad spots and stuff, because of their efforts and work that they've done over the years to get themselves to that point. And shout out to every single one of them who gets that done. Started with my man Problem Right and Gold Glove and Pokimane and all them. They all are great people. They all are solid. Shout out to all of them. They all do their thing. A lot of people just had to pave the way, to do a lot of the groundwork in order to make it happen. But once they did, they found out that it's a good medium where you can actually do a lot of good things and show a lot of different talents and skills. That's the other thing that you're starting to see now. Now you're starting to see it evolve to even be something more than just the knowledge and the knowledge of one particular discipline. So now you're learning that, well, the person who I watch isn't just a one discipline person, meaning that they're not just a gamer. They're showing themselves. A lot of people, they cook. A lot of people are photographers. A lot of people are like me. I do music. Y'all don't know too much about that. I haven't even got to that point where I'm showing you all the musical acumen yet. I mean, people don't know that, yes, for 15 plus years, I was rocking with my group Cross Culture. Prior to that, I rocked with in my high school and junior high age, I rocked with my other crew prior to that called the MCs. I had both of those groups very viable. I did it in a non-YouTube era where, unless you kind of knew and saw what was happening at that time, you don't know that it actually existed, because we didn't sit there and record every single footage. I probably have some VHS tapes sitting around here of some of the stage performances I did somewhere down the line at some point, but I did it in a pre-YouTube era. I haven't got to the point of showing you my musical acumen of why I went to college and all this stuff, and I haven't got to that part yet. Y'all gonna learn that as we go along. But that's part of the reason why of being a YouTuber and Twitcher. And this is where it all becomes full circle. So, I, understand Soulless sentiment. On the flip side of the coin, I understand why people do this from a YouTube perspective. All I ask is that, for me, if you want to support, I mean, you could definitely support, you could definitely, throw the money your way, throw the followers your way. I don't, my whole thing was, yes, I would love to do this as a job. Don't get it wrong. I'm cool with my job. Don't get it wrong. I'm not like I'm hating my job. If I did this at a job full time, I would be just as cool with this too. This is the reason why I try to jump on as much as I can, because I like to teach. That's one of the things that I've always been, that's one of those, God-given gifts, is that I have the gift to teach. It's just what it is. You know, sometimes I could teach it better than I could execute it half the time, and that's the crazy thing behind it. And some people just have that. My execution on a lot of my ideas and stuff is pretty cool, but my teaching behind it has actually been a lot better. I'm just going to be honest with you, because I do a lot of studying. I do a lot of I watch a lot of other people do their thing. I've studied a lot of books and stuff. That's part of it. But for me, the reason why I do it is, yes, I'm going to give you some entertainment value because that's who I am. I am going to be funny and stuff. I will shoot jokes with y'all and stuff. Anybody who know me on any type of personal level, that he does play around, he does joke and stuff. But also, you're going to get a heavy dose of teaching. That's the reason why I kind of do this. The reason why I play. I try to show you, let me show you how I execute in certain games, how I function. Some people, at work, I'm playing. I'm at lunch, I'm on my mobile, I'm playing Team Fight Tactics, and everybody's sitting up there in the break room laughing at me while I'm playing because I'm yelling at the screen and stuff. And again, you'll see that as we go along. But that is another aspect of me that y'all don't get a chance to see, because y'all see teaching mode, True Indeed. Y'all don't always get a chance to see the entertainment portion of True Indeed, just me just getting my game on and just laughing and getting frustrated because I'm not executing, or I am executing very well. Y'all don't see that particular aspect of it. Sometimes I show that, sometimes I don't. It just depends. But you'll get a chance to see that. I showed that in previous YouTube pages and stuff. You'll get a chance to see some of the topical stuff. You'll see some of the stuff. Y'all see me drop different things. But my particular, aspect is, for me, YouTubing has grown by leaps and bounds because it given the people the opportunity to learn something. What it really did, I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is where you can't really take anything away from YouTube, and this is why I can't be solely mad by people who go on there to try to learn something. I am not, yes, I would love for people to try to figure certain things out on their own, maybe just from a gaming perspective, more so than anything else. But from every other aspect, I'm not going to be opposed to somebody who's going in and trying to learn a particular skill or a particular discipline, because if you could learn something that could ultimately better you, and if you're learning from my page or anybody else's page that's going to make you better in what you are and what you do, that's always going to be a good thing for me. That's just my particular take on it. I'm not going to be solely upside down or sideways in regards to that, but for me personally, that's how I would do it. I am not going to be the person to be mad because, well, you're just taking my ideas and running with it. I put it out there for you to learn, for you to, be entertained by. And, if you get a little kick and laugh out of it, cool. If you get some thought in the inside, oh, I didn't think about playing this game, maybe I'll give it some run. If that's due to me, cool. I definitely appreciate it. Just, all I ask is that, hey, throw it in the comment. Let me know if y'all like what I'm doing. If not, I'll do something different, and I'm going to give y'all stuff that's different. Don't get it wrong. It just takes a little bit of time to create that particular content to give y'all the different aspects of me. But you're going to get that. And I was thinking about doing it on 2 different pages. So I may just lump it all into one page. That's the one thing. I know a lot of people, they may do this and they have strictly a gaming page and a strictly another page. I think what I'm going to do is just give y'all a little bit of everything. I think that's one of the things that I've been kicking around while I've been trying to do my particular setups and stuff, trying to get everything cooking. I want to give y'all different aspects of everything, and that's one of the things I'm going to be working on, is giving y'all different content as we go along. And I may just throw it all on one page. So if you see some music stuff on there, some other stuff on there, hey, it's on there. Back in the day, about on my, if y'all link up on my Facebook, facebook.com mcprofess, m.c.profess. If y'all want to check out my Facebook page, me and the missus back in the day, we did a page called the X's and O's of relationships. Whole thing about relationships. Still sitting there. I haven't even looked at that page in 2 years. Or actually, I shouldn't say 2 years. In about a year. I haven't even looked at the page in about a year. The page still gets likes and follows and all this stuff, and we haven't even looked at that page. And we did content in that regard. So I have to actually go in and maybe start to revisit that page too. And I'm thinking about that. So I might go in and start revisiting that as well. Maybe something for the Facebook page. So if you want to follow on Facebook, I'll definitely throw the links in there below and you'll get a chance to see how that's working. But that's the reason why I do it. And you would have to, and the thing is, when you are talking to your YouTubers and Twitch streamers and people who are creating content, ask them why they do it. Ask them why, because you'll understand if they really give you the true reason why you do what you do. Then you'll get a chance to really get an insight of who you are. The reason why I watch and support a lot of other different YouTubers and Twitchers, and half the time that's really what I'm doing. I watch certain movies and stuff, and I watch certain shows and stuff, that's true, but I actually watch other people's content, A, to try to learn something from, B, to try to be in support of, but I really want to get to know the person, how well do I get a chance to know people? That's really what life is about, is being able to know, understand, interact, feel people. There is a third part to this as well. I'm not going to get into it today. I may get into it tomorrow. And that's going to be, in regards to somebody who said something at the job a couple of days ago when I was off, and they had made a comment about a certain thing that was happening within the store, which actually ties into this particular topic. I'm just not going to go into it completely right now, but I'm definitely going to tag into it and talk about it maybe a little bit later down the line. Maybe tomorrow we'll maybe get into that as well. But, to summarize it, it really comes down to this. If you are a person who, is trying to learn, I'm not going to fault you for learning. YouTube is basically a good platform to learn. I'm not mad at, I'd rather gamers, to be honest with you, be creative first. Even if you want to learn from some of the stuff that any content creator put down, including myself, you want to learn from me, I'm cool with you learning from me in particular. I can't speak for every other content creator. I'm cool with you taking my ideas and running with it, tweaking it, throwing me some feedback. I'm grown. You could tell me like, yo, what you did as far as your team combination was bunch. Try to do this. I'm cool with that. Oh, I may have heard this from Loot Wizard or Cynical. Cool. I'm cool with that. You can say all that stuff. I'm grown. I'm down. I'm a grown man. I can take care of all, I can handle all that stuff. But if you learn something, understand something, what I try for you to do is to start the conversation. Because for me, it's equally as important for me to teach you, and it's equally as important for me to learn as much about each and every person who jumps on. This is why I say I appreciate every single person who jumps on the Twitch feed, who's watching right now. If y'all watching on Twitch, I definitely appreciate y'all watching. If you're watching on the YouTube side of things, when you get a chance to see this on the back end, I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch and interact and give me your comments. And believe me, I do see and interact and respond to every single comment. To me, this is just a response to a comment that was given. Instead of just writing down all this stuff, all I did was just throw it in a content form for video content just to give it back to you. So this is my way of responding back in regards to giving a response to a comment that was left on my page. That's how I interact, but I definitely get down and interact with everybody. I want to learn more about people. I want to learn about, how y'all play, y'all insights, y'all interactions within the game. Even if it's not non-gaming oriented, even if it's just literally like, yo, this is what I'm going through in life, it's been a struggle, man. I have people going through a lot of crazy stuff, and talk them through it. I'm cool with that. I want to know about you. That's the reason why I do this. I love to do this full time. I told y'all off rip, I would love to do this full time. It's just I'm not at that point yet, and I don't know if it's fully in my destiny to do this full time. It may be because this is not the first time that this conversation has came up about trying to rock this full time and being a full-time YouTuber and basically doing teaching, because everybody says you should probably teach. But teaching in a conventional form, like in a classroom and stuff, is not the easiest of mediums to do, because I've tried that. I actually, was running a band for about a year or so. It just didn't work out because it's just a little bit different. Now that's a different situation where I was a little bit too young to try to do it at that time. I could probably maybe revisit that now, but even with that being said, I like this medium better. Not because it's behind the camera or whatnot. I can still interact with people. It's basically like a modified version of a Zoom meeting where, if you're actually live on Twitch, you can actually shoot me the questions. I would be able to give you the answers. I could be able to kick around your thoughts, ideas about gaming or otherwise, and we could go from there. I like this medium. This medium works for me. I like to give y'all the entertainment value that comes in behind it. That's me. I think that this is a fun medium to work around. I just, so happen to just restart doing this playing Gems of War, but I'll do this with other stuff as well. And, as we grow the content, we'll grow together. But my main thing is I want to get to, be able to teach. I want to be able to get to know who you are as well. I want to show you who I am and show you that I'm not just a gamer. I am very diverse in what I do. I do have a family. I have all that. I'm an OG. I could tell you like the OG's perspective. My son, like I said, he's a Marine and he's 18 years old. I could give you the young person perspective. I could give you all of that. And that's why I try to convey to you in all that I do. This is the reason why I particularly do this. But you have to figure out how you want to consume your information. You want to keep learning it from a YouTuber's perspective. I'm cool with that. The more that people interact and stuff with YouTube and Twitch streaming and stuff, it's a great thing to me personally, because I think that as more and more people grow and understand YouTubing and Twitch streaming and watching the content and and seeing people grow with it, I think it's going to be much better for everybody involved. I think it'll be a great thing, to be honest with you. But YouTubing in particular, like I said, understanding the reason why people YouTube and the reason why people Twitch stream and the reason why YouTube is there, the reasons for it. I think that's super important too. I think once you kind of understand why, you'll understand why people kind of do what they do, and part of the reason why that they utilize YouTube and just kind of jump in and jump out is because at least they're trying to learn it. That's why I'm not even solely mad. I understand that you lose some of the creativity, but there's always going to be people in each game and in each community. This is the reason why we do this. This is the reason why we do this. And I tell you this to Solus and to everybody else. This is for Solus and Cindy Cool and Loot Wizard and Rel and Roddy Diaper and all the other people, at least in the Gems of War gaming community in particular. The reason why we do this, we're going to be the creatives. Even if people style bite what we do, jump on our thoughts, jump on our ideas, whatever it may be, this is the reason why we do what we do. Maybe we overlap in content, maybe we don't, maybe we get something different from each and every person. It's cool. I personally don't care. I'm personally not tripping off of it. But if other people are not going to be the creatives, we'll be the ones who will be the creative. We're the ones who kick around the thoughts and ideas. Maybe the stuff we come up with is meta. Maybe the stuff we come up with is kind of off the wall and wacky. This is the reason why we do this, is that we'll be the ones who come up with the thoughts and ideas for others, and then hopefully your particular teams of content, people who watches your particular content may come up with something that is better, and we just kind of put that out there as well. I'm cool with that. This is how we get down. This is how we're going to grow. This is how we're going to interact. This is how we're going to develop. This is how we're going to do what we do. We are going to be we'll be the creatives, we'll be the teachers, we'll be the people for everybody to do what they do. Whether you watch us on YouTube, whether you watch us live on Twitch, we'll be the ones who actually go out there and, shepherd the banner until we grow a group of other people to kind of carry the banner for us. We'll take it a certain way. We'll have other people's carry it beyond that. That's what we're going to do. That's how we push the YouTube and push the Twitch streaming forward. We will ultimately be the Britanica. We will be the encyclopedia that people could reference and look to and, reference and go with. Now, it may not be strictly for a particular game. It may be for some life stuff. It may be for some other game. Maybe for music. It may be for designing haircuts. Maybe for car design, or working on cars, or maybe like how to paint walls. Whatever it may be, whatever that you do, we are going to be the Britannica. We are the Britannica. We are the blueprint. We are the book. And we may be the, well, if you mess up here, this is how you correct it. That's the beauty of it. This is why we do what we do as YouTuber, as content creators, as Twitch streamers. This is why we do. So anybody whom you support, no matter what the interaction is, whatever, no matter what the field is, you go out there and support them, because they're going to be the ones who are going to be the creatives to try to define what we are, how you learn it, how you consume it, and then we go from there. Even if it's something simple as Gems of War, or something as complex as, building a computer or otherwise. Let's go ahead and champion it out. Let's go ahead and be the bearers of it. And for the people who support us, we definitely appreciate y'all doing what y'all do. Let me do this. I got to get ready to get up out of here. I'm gonna actually do some things. I'm gonna try to jump back on tonight. Hopefully my computer is set up so I can actually get some other gaming in. If not, what I'll try to do is maybe I'll hard record it. If I don't get a chance to see it live, I'll hard record it, so I'll put the content up for y'all later on. Maybe tomorrow I'll get that content up for you. If I hard record it, I'll let you know. So definitely appreciate y'all rocking with your boy. Y'all know who I am. I'm Mr. True Indeed, of course. Y'all know who I represent. It's the Holy Circle Gaming. Like always, God above everything. Till the next time, family, we'll do it again. So, salute.